All right. Good afternoon and happy Friday, January 27th. Can you believe it? We are already almost at the end of January. We just celebrated New Year's, right? Unbelievable. This is Paulo Schneider. We are live. At my real estate podcast, and today we're going to talk about the current stats of the South Florida real estate market. And if you have not signed in yet, you better do this right now, because there are going to come some nuggets that you don't want to miss here. Today, I have the greatest honor and privilege of all during my entire podcast, which hasn't been that long, only about for a year. But I have with me two great experts. And I'm telling you, when I talk about great experts, these guys know the real estate market inside out. And it's a great privilege to have them here. And so starting with Sara. Sara is it's actually Lang Realty's South Regional Manager, Sales Manager. And Sara, tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the industry. And that's very important for our audience.
Sure. So my name is Sara Velez, and I've actually been in real estate for about 20 years, since 2001.
So there you go, 20 years of solid experience. And then we have our boss, our big boss here,
Yes.
the VP of Operations of Lang, and he manages, maybe close to 500 salespeople with Lang Realty throughout South Florida. Danny Katz, welcome. Thank you for both of you to be here. And so tell us a little bit about how long you have been in this industry.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be with both of you here, Paulo and Sara. My name is Danny Katz, as Paulo just mentioned, and I have been in the real estate industry since the year 2003. So good chunk of it has been in the Miami-Dade County, and then in the latter part of my career has been here in Palm Beach County.
Very good. Well, look, this is a combined 40 years of experience, plus my experience in the real estate industry and the mortgage business, which is about 30 years. So that makes us 80 years of experience in this industry. That's quite a bit. And for our audience today, I want to tell you, take your pens out and some notebooks and write this stuff down, because there is a lot of information going to come your way, especially with the current market of the state of Florida, and why you as an investor or as a future resident should consider now to invest here. The opportunity is around the corner. You don't want to miss it. Sign up, follow me, and subscribe to this podcast, because there is going to be some golden nuggets coming your way. So get ready. We're going to talk about the market stats of the 4 counties, starting with St. Lucie County. Then we're going to go to Miami-Dade County, come back to Broward, and finish up right here in Palm Beach County. So, and Sara, I think you want to probably start talking about this and see what you have for us. And then we're going to interact back and forth and discuss this a little bit, starting with the Port St. Lucie County.
Sure.
St. Lucie County.
So one of the things we're beginning to notice with Port St. Lucie, obviously, is just the lack of sales that they had in comparison to last year, and obviously the number of months of inventory that's been in the market, as well as those transactions that were originally probably last year, mortgages. They're not as many, as well as the number of transactions in cash have also diminished ever so slightly. And the number of days that they seem to be on the market has also declined just a little bit.
So if we talk about this, Danny, the declining of the market, what's your take on this? What do you see in these areas?
Well, what we've been seeing throughout it, and is not exclusive to St. Lucie County, is that seems like the market is taking a little bit of a shift. We were in a situation where the inventory was very low. This is halfway through the pandemic, in the latter part of the pandemic, and there was almost a pandemic of buying houses. It was just very significant, the speed at which we basically were seeing the transactions being materialized. And it seems like with the interest rates coming up and up and up and up. We've seen more than 100% of the increase in the interest rate, on the mortgage interest rate, just in 1 year. That's put a little bit of the brakes on the process of buying. And so we've seen a little bit less action, not that significant, but a little bit less action, and an increase on the inventory. That said, a healthy market ranges of 6 to 9 months worth of inventory. Now, for instance, in St. Lucie County, we went to...
Caio, when you want to bring that flyer up to St. Lucie County so that the audience can check it out as well? Great. It's right there on the screen.
So a year ago, or December 2021, we had 1 month of inventory. We have 300% more inventory now, and it's still only 3 months. We're not in what's considered to be a healthy market.
Not the normal, regular, standard market.
Correct. So
as we used to know
in the old days.
Correct.
In the good old days, where 6 to 9 months was a balanced market where neither buyer nor seller would have an upper hand with their counterpart. And so with that said, we're still catching up. And you'll hear in places where we have more than double the inventory. We've increased. Look at this. It's 300% more. And yet we're not there in a healthy market.
Yet. That's amazing. And I mean, this is also basically, was this because of so many people came to Florida? Is it because, obviously we've seen that. We had a huge market, a huge influx of buyers from all around the country, all around the world. We have probably had more people from California coming to Florida than ever before in the history of the state, probably, right? And so did we not have enough properties? Is that the reason why we are so low and so many buyers came in at such a short period of time, or what is that?
Well, I think COVID had a lot to do with that.
Okay.
A lot of people were beginning to work remotely. So why not come to Florida, right? Who wants to work in the cold weather when you can come to sunny South Florida and still work remotely from South Florida?
So you want to say technology had a lot to do with that?
100% with that, yeah. The COVID and lack of the offices and the technology, the ability to be able to work from home definitely opened up a lot of doors here in South Florida for many people, you know, to travel from California, from the West Coast, even from the East Coast to South Florida.
And if you want to throw into that mix the fact that we don't have a state tax.
Correct.
So...
It's a bunch of benefits, right?
So
you had the COVID that pushed everybody out of the cold, right? We had the technology that gave the ability to work remotely anywhere around the world.
Correct.
Then you have the no income, the state no income tax, right? And then on top of it, you have sunny South Florida, beaches everywhere, beautiful people, a lot of things to do, and fishing and going to the beach and do outdoor sports and everything, right? Yeah. So
Great
why
food.
not? The culinary here is amazing. Yeah. And so, I mean, this is really, really important. We have seen that before, but it's still continuing. And you deal with every day, both of you deal with all of the agents, and many of these agents, they call into the company and looking for information, all that stuff. You talk to them about all these things, and is it still the same? Are people still talking about these same things, or is there anything new on top of that? What do we know?
Well, I mean, people are always interested in real estate, and they always want to know what's going on in the real estate market. And yes, a lot of people are still discussing it, whether or not it's a good time to buy, whether or not I should sell my home. And it's always a good time to buy in real estate. And if you have to move, of course, it's still a good time to sell your home. Absolutely. So, yeah.
So we've seen a lot of these things, and people are also, because of the high interest rates, and people talk about potentially inflation or recession or what have you. What have you heard about distressed properties and or foreclosures? Are people talking about that? And we have some numbers that we're going to go county by county, starting with St. Lucie County. How big of an impact does it have today in our market?
As of right now, it doesn't seem to have an impact at all whatsoever. During COVID, there was a forbearance in place, and I believe there's a new law in which lenders must work with the homeowners before actually processing the due process on foreclosure. So they have to work with the homeowners. So I know I was one that was anticipating many foreclosures coming on the market because of the forbearance, and as it turns out, it hasn't materialized.
Right.
It's
So,
actually,
like I can tell you here in Port St. Lucie, the St. Lucie County, right? We had just in in December 22, this past month, two. Is that correct?
only two
foreclosures?
foreclosures occurred in
the whole
December
county.
in the whole
So
county.
that's nothing. So if you want to look for foreclosures, it's not yet the time to fish for that in that pond. Okay,
Correct.
not yet the time, right? We have to either wait a little bit. Well, we hope that is really not going to happen that much, because it would be a very unhealthy market for all of us. I mean, some people are going to lose a lot, some people are going to gain.
people will
but,
lose their homes,
But
yeah.
but it's terrible when these things happen, right? I mean, there are reasons why people lose homes, because it's not necessarily because of loss of jobs, or it's other causes, kind of like some things that can't be controlled based on the market. But losing your home because of the market conditions is a terrible thing. You lose your job, you lose because of inflation, recession, or anything. That would be bad. So needless to say, that market is not hot. That's good.
And we
At
don't
least in St.
foresee,
Lucie.
we don't foresee, at least me particular, don't see that changing anytime soon. We have a very strong economy so far. So let's say that someone unfortunately loses their job and they cannot
Right.
afford their home anymore. You list it, you sell it, and normally will sell before you get into the situation where the bank actually
Right.
has to foreclose on you.
Right.
And you might be late on a couple of payments.
Right.
But by the time you sell the house, you get the cash, you pay, you put your act together,
Right.
get squared out, and move on.
And most likely still some equity in
There's
it,
plenty
right?
Yes.
of equity because the average homeowner now resides in their home anywhere from 7 to 15 years.
Yeah. Well,
So
wow.
plenty-
7 to 15 years.
Yeah,
The
so
average homeowner.
According to the National Association of
Wow,
Realtors.
you see this, folks? This is important information. All right, so let's go to Miami. A lot of people around this world are excited to hear what's going on in Miami. So let's take it to the Miami market report, and we'll see what's going on there. Sarah, you're up.
Well, we're clearly seeing an increase in inventory, which is very, very much needed. And again, we're seeing an increase in the month's supply of inventory. The average sale price, surprisingly, has come down significantly in comparison to last year, where this year the average sales price is $800,000 versus 1.2 last year. And the median sales price, surprisingly, kind of remained the same as well. And it looks like the time to contract has come up significantly as well.
Right,
But-
so we have a little shift of the average sales price that has dropped from last year,
Yep.
same time to this year, about 34%.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
34% drop from last year to this year, December. Now, 34% is a lot, but then again, how much did it increase from
Correct.
during this period of time, or maybe a little bit before that, right? The impact, I don't think that the drop, this 34%, it happened through the entire year. I think it was just a portion recently that this major impact mostly happened after the increase of the interest rate, right? Could that be the case, or is this something else?
No, I think you're right on point. I think so. Yeah, because of the interest rates,
Yeah.
for sure. And prices have come down significantly, too. Just little by little, sellers are beginning to reduce their prices as well. So that contributes to that as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the sense was that because there were so many buyers around, you could just throw something on the wall and it was going to stick. Not hope that it was going to stick. It was going to stick, right? So realtors were, I can sell your house for 3 times more it's worth today. Oh, let's just sell it, right? So they listed it, and then it didn't sell for that price.
It's not selling for that price
It's
today.
not selling for that price
Because
today.
there's more competition. You have a little bit more inventory.
There's more inventory, but also the rate, I'm sure the rate had a lot to do
Sure.
with that as well,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So we have two things going on. There's more inventory and the interest rate.
Correct.
Now, can this turn into a buyer's market, Danny?
Well, definitely. I mean, there's opportunities everywhere. So I'll give you an example. Imagine that you have new construction. So you sign as a buyer your new construction contract at the beginning of 2021. And then they say, well, because of lack of materials and delays on delivery, it's going to take a year and a half. Well, when you signed the contract, you never thought, or you were calculating that your mortgage was going to be 2.8%, 3.25%, and all of a sudden a year and change after, when you're about to take possession, is 7%.
7%. So
and now you can't afford your house.
your increase on the mortgage payment, 67%.
You simply can't afford it. So is there going to be a shift on the market? I think depends on how you slice the market. There will be opportunities, and that we'll see in certain price points where there will be a more noticeable shift on the market. If you have prices of properties that are in the multi-million dollars where the potential buyers normally pay cash,
right?
This is, the interest rate it doesn't play a factor on it.
Exactly.
But there's definitely a price point where mortgage rates have a significant impact, and this is where probably you will see more of a shift in the market.
So that's an interesting point. We want to go to the townhouse part of the area in the Palm Beach County, because I later on after we come back, I want to talk about that. But right now, so given that this is going on right now, you said it could be a potential buyer's market, but we don't have enough inventory yet for people to come and say, hey, I have 50 houses to choose from, 20, 30 houses to choose from. What I see out there, and you probably see this because realtors talk to you guys all the time, I see still 10, 15, 20, 30 buyers coming to see a certain house if the price is right, if the house is priced correctly. Is that okay to kind of like think that there is this many buyers per house out there still?
I think so. If it's priced right and it's a turnkey property, yes, you still have an influx of buyers coming. I just think buyers, myself included, we're just sitting on the sidelines, just waiting
for the right opportunity.
Waiting for the correct opportunity. Correct. But I think there are plenty of buyers out there. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Sarah.
So
there's still a lot of buyers out there, and it's noticeable because otherwise we would see a quick adjustment on the inventory to levels that are higher. There's still properties coming into the market that are being absorbed and they're being sold.
Right.
So this trickle in of the inventory is being eaten up at a lesser
pace.
a slower pace than before, yet not every single house that comes in stays there. So we're seeing there's a significant amount of buyers out there, and they're basically eating up part of the inventory that we see. It takes a little bit longer, but definitely in agreement with Sarah.
Right. Good. And based on what I see here, cash buyers, people ask me, hey, what's the percentage of cash buyers today versus it was 6 months ago, last year? So on this report, we say in Miami, we have 48% less cash
Almost
buyers
half.
than we had last year. That's just about 50%.
Correct.
Is it because all the cash buyers are gone? They came in and swooped up everything that they could at the time when the opportunity was right? Or is it that they're shying away because of the prices a little bit too high for them right now? What is it?
That's a
Could it
good
be both?
question.
I don't have enough information to say with data this is why. I would venture to speculate, if you will, that, and especially if you see the median price and the level of the caliber of the purchases, if you have the money to pay cash, normally you have a good portfolio on the stock market behind you. And if your portfolio is coming down, you probably don't feel as generous and rich, if you will, to pull out some of your assets, make them into cash.
Cash is king.
And then,
Cash is king.
materialize, because you're having to execute your stocks or whatever you have at a loss. The market went down last year, so, and that's mere speculation. I really don't have all the data, but if I had to guess, that would be
one of them probably.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you on this because the stock market went down so big, so significantly, and the people I think that were looking to maybe cash out a little bit there and to buy Here, they're not doing it because the loss would be a double whammy right there, big one.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good. Well, good to know. Let's go to the distressed market in Miami. In the old days, this was a big hit out there. And what do we see today there, Sarah?
Well, surprisingly, it wasn't that significant again. I mean, in comparison for foreclosures, in comparison to last year where there were only 9, this year's only been 11 of them. And actually in short sales, it was reduced to 3 properties.
3 from 9.
From 9.
So that's kind of like an indication of a healthier market, right?
Very healthy market.
Can we say that this is because of the federal government has worked more on regulating the lending industry a little bit better, or is this because there are not so many loans that are out there right now that
I just think people have a lot of equity, and the job labor market is so strong that this has to be really unique cases for these foreclosures and short sales, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It's
a strong real estate market. It's a strong job labor market. So it doesn't line up that you would even have them, honestly.
And people that, if you said earlier, the average homeowner has about 7 to 12 years in the house right now. Correct. So they bought at the middle of the recession of 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in between that time, maybe a little after, and now the values have doubled, maybe quadrupled. Correct. Right? Since
areas,
then. There are some areas, correct? A lot of equity. Number one. Number two, at the time, they had to qualify correctly, not like it was 2005, 6, and 7, but you had to have just a name and a fingerprint.
That was a banking issue, correct.
Exactly. Right. And then these people may have, as you said, a solid job market, a labor market. They still have their jobs. They still get their check, so they can still pay. Yeah. That's good. That's really good.
And banks worked with them.
Right.
Banks worked with them a lot, significantly.
Wow. Going over to the Broward County, and this is obviously Parkland, Fort Lauderdale area, and all over the place, the whole shebang right there. So let's talk about that. Let's see what we have there.
Penny, want to take it?
No, go ahead. I like that you have the
Sarah is on top of the game.
Numbers, yes.
Tell you.
Woman.
Let's see. Reviewing Broward County. Broward County looks a little bit like Palm Beach County as far as the number of sales and the month supply of inventory. Again, they have over 100% increase in inventory, which that's really, really good in active listings. Again, their median time to contract has almost doubled from last year. It's taken about 32 days in comparison to 15 days. And the average sales price actually increased.
Yeah,
comparison to last year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about 6% increase, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. So Broward County, why can we kind of like elaborate that a little bit on why do we think that in Broward County this is happening?
I think Miami-Dade is just inundated. It's just so busy. And
they're pushing people up?
They're pushing people to Broward County.
To Broward County.
Yep. That's my opinion.
So the cost of housing,
I don't necessarily know the cost of housing because I think they're probably neck to neck. I just think it's
better opportunities.
Crowded.
So crowded.
Quality of life.
Yeah,
people for better quality of life.
Very good. Very good point, because it's so congested. Miami, obviously everybody that knows Miami and has been there knows that, in a rush hour, you better walk instead of driving, right?
They're taking
you get faster.
You live down there, right? You know it. You get there faster.
There's also a lot of community improvement in Broward County.
That's true. That is true.
On the east side, they're doing a lot of redevelopment.
Right.
They're improving, so it's more desirable.
More desirable.
To live, and a little less expensive with the beaches, near the beach.
Yeah, and let's face it, it's not too far from Miami. It's a half an hour drive, 20 minutes drive.
Both counties.
Yeah, and so easy in and out, and you have the airport, you have the port, you have everything around there. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Inventory, we have the supply is there, up 172% from 1.1 to 3, what is it, 3%?
Just 3 months.
Oh, 3 months, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 months.
3 months.
Not there yet.
Not there yet.
Not there yet.
Still very much considered
Remember that
sellers.
when you have one orange and someone gifts you another orange, you have 100% more oranges.
Yeah, but
yet
only
you only
two.
have two.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I increased my inventory 100%. Wow,
100%.
100%.
Yes.
But only from 1 to 2.
Exactly.
Very good, very good. So, yeah, the single-family market in Broward. Let's just touch a little bit about on the townhouse and condo markets in Broward, and then we'll touch up a little bit more on that side in Palm Beach County. But you see a little bit of a difference here on closed sales and, of course, paid in cash versus financed, and then median sales prices and average sales price. Talk about that a little bit, Sarah.
Well, it makes sense. They're a little bit more affordable, because last year prices went through the roof on single-family homes, and now with rising interest rates, it makes a little bit of sense that we would have more closed transactions with townhomes and condos versus the single-family homes. I mean, their average sales prices under $350,000.
Right. So it's more affordable. You have a
affordable.
bigger labor market in this county, right?
Yes.
So the average income is probably a little bit lower in average compared to, say, Boca or Palm Beach County or Miami, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, then there you have the answer. And so in supplies, monthly supplies, we have 2.8 months now versus 1.7 last December. So, yeah, a little shift. We almost 65% there.
But take notice of the increase in inventory, too. I mean, it's 4,000 compared to 3,000 last year.
Oh, wow, 39%. That's good. That is going to help eventually. If this shift continues to go, then it should help balance the sales price a little bit, right?
Correct.
So that's actually good because it's going to give an opportunity to basically for buyers to have a little bit more of an option, and affordability is not going to go so crazy out there, right?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go to, I think most listeners want to know what our Palm Beach County is, how our Palm Beach County is behaving here. So this is, I tell you, when I saw the numbers, I was very, very surprised on the single family, on the average price, on the average sales price. But when we get there, we'll talk about this because this was a big surprise to me in single families in Palm Beach County.
The average sales price?
Average sales price.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that much at all. When I saw this number, I was like, wow.
You didn't think it'd be that high?
No, I didn't think so at all.
Well,
Yeah.
in comparison to last year, I mean, I think it's leveled off a little bit. Last year was $1 million.
Yeah.
And it's at 825. But we also have to keep in mind Palm Beach County includes Jupiter, Singer Island.
Yeah.
Those are luxury homes, very high-priced homes.
So, closed sales, we had 37% less this year, December to last year. Again, is this price-driven? Probably because the prices went too far up, or is this?
I think it was a combination of prices still
Interest
going
rate.
up and the lack of inventory and the rising interest rates.
So, a bunch of things.
Yeah. What would you say, Dan?
Yeah, and I would say in addition to that, 100% in agreement, when you start hearing, the market may be shifting, the economy might be going into a recession, there's a lot of
Fear.
up in the air type of things, that there's uncertainty.
People step back.
And
A little bit.
this buying a house is not buying a coffee maker, So
For sure.
when you're hesitant, should I do this? Should I not do this? Then you probably hold back. And those are kinds of things that for significant purchases, we've seen somewhat of a let's wait and see. If you're not really needing to buy a house, you most likely will not.
Interesting. Paid cash, again, we see that it's 30% lower than it was. So kind of like stock market. We touched about that earlier. People don't want to take their cash out of the stock market because they've been slapped around a little bit. Everybody. I mean, I called, about a year and a half ago, I put some money into a somewhat startup. They were 3-4 years in the business. They called me up and said, listen, you should really do this. I said, okay, let's try a few dollars. It's down 92%.
Was it
92%. It was not Bitcoin. So I called the office, said, listen, do you have a conference table? I said, yeah, we do. For how many seats? I said, 6. I said, can I have it? The guy goes like, for what day? I said, no, I want to have it for me. What do you mean for me? No, I want to come and take it for me. No, it's our property. I said, no, you're going out of business, so give me at least something.
And then recuperate your investment.
Yeah, that was close, man. But they're still there. They haven't shut doors yet. So anyways, let's go a little bit about and talk about medium sales price, and then, touch about the average sales price that we see right there, and then go on and on with that, and then go to the townhouse market as well. So let's share that information.
So on the medium sales price, surprisingly, again, it kind of remained the same. It was less than 4% difference between this year and last year. Where we really saw the differences in the average sales price, it's at 18%. Last year, it was over $1 million, and this year is $825,000. So that's almost 20%. That's pretty significant, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big drop. Now, and then shifting at this point, I want to go over to the townhouse market and look at that same number, the average sales price on the townhouse market. There's a shift upwards, almost 11%.
Yes.
Now, that was what really caught my attention. The single-family market down by 18%, and a shift up on the townhouse market to almost 11%. It has to do, right, with everything, interest rates and affordability and all that stuff, right? I mean, to me, that was a little shocking, to be honest with you. I was like, wow, that's a big shift the other direction, right?
Yeah.
And I thought this was a big point for us to discuss. So let's go in this part of the business. What can we tell our audience out there? Is there an opportunity for them to come and look at this seriously right now, and giving these situations, where can they go?
I don't see why they wouldn't look at it. I mean, to purchase real estate in South Florida, I mean, honestly, it's a no-brainer. It really isn't. I mean, it's a destination city or state. It's like Danny had mentioned earlier, there's no state income tax, the weather, I mean, the food, the culinary, everything. It's just makes sense.
Yeah.
If you have the finances to do with it, of course, for sure.
And we've seen a little bit of I work with some of the agents. Sara, you work with many more, and Paulo, you've been doing this for so long, so most likely you've also heard some people say, well, we wanted a house, but it seems like the prices are a little bit too high, but they're still on the market for a purchase.
Right.
And they're extend, so to speak, their horizons to see now into villas, townhomes, condos, or
as opposed to single family.
As opposed to a single family.
So they want to stay in that budget. But the budget that they had when the rates were low was going to give them a $600,000-$700,000 single family. But because the rate is now so high, that's not possible anymore.
Correct. But also keep in mind that Palm Beach County has a lot more 55 and older communities. So they have a lot more affordability with condos as well.
That is true, too. You talked about the point that reminded me about the golf course communities. We have so many golf course communities in Palm Beach County like that. I think it's the highest concentration of golf course community in the country. Is that correct? In one county? Is that true or not?
It's very possible. I don't know.
I think I read something about it.
Statistics on that.
Yeah, but because almost at every corner you see a golf course community. And so the prices weren't as high because of the cost of living in there on the homes. But now they also went up. Do we think that these numbers can also have an effect in here, or is that possible or not?
With the golf
community?
course Oh, sure, because it's all lumped together.
All lumped together.
Yes.
Wow. And inventory, monthly supplies, we have almost 200% more this month versus compared to last year, same month, on single families. And townhomes, just about the same.
Yes.
So what do we tell people today, Danny? come live in paradise, get out of the snow.
Absolutely.
life.
Absolutely. And we welcome you with open arms.
With open arms, right? We will drive you around, right?
It's interesting because I have, in my personal sphere, I have some friends that live up north. And we were talking the other day, and, we were just using FaceTime. And so they're seeing me, and I'm seeing them. And I'm wearing a tank top, and my friends are all bundled up, and it's been, it has been a mild winter up north, but still winter.
Yeah, so cold.
And it's layers. You need to go anywhere, you need to layer up. You get to your destination, you need to layer down, and then you go back to your car. It's the same thing over and over again. We don't think of those things here at all.
That's off the chart.
You just look at the weather app on your phone before leaving the house just to make sure that you're not overdressed.
Yeah.
Or need an umbrella.
Or maybe need an umbrella.
Yeah. That's a rare occasion.
But
that's a rare occasion.
Other than that, it's just it's paradise. So of course, there's no reason why not to. There's no reason why not to. And
that is so true.
There's a story that goes, this apprentice goes to a monastery and it asks the monk, it says, Master, when is a good time to plant a tree? And the master looks at him and says, 20 years ago. But since you cannot go back in time, the second best time is today.
It's today.
And so I say, if you see, historically speaking, real estate, and if you go into a balanced market, which we're getting there, but nonetheless, we will get there, even if you get in at this time and you see this as a long-term investment, a place where you will live for many years, enjoy the place, enjoy the surroundings, and enjoy the lifestyle, it's always a good investment.
There you have it. So this is good information. This is really good information. And we can just touch a little bit on the distressed properties in Palm Beach County, which is the same thing all over. The four counties have no records of any indications that we're going to have some sort of foreclosure stuff going on. It's very little, non-existent.
It's non-existent.
Non-existent, right?
Yeah.
So to our audience, if you're looking for foreclosures, is just not the time right now. Let's talk about finding suitable housing for you, finding the right property for you, and a property that you can buy well and in a good area where you have potential future equity. Let's just make sure that we buy this thing right. We do the right thing, right research for you, and all those things, so you can live a happy ever after in paradise, right?
That's right.
But how much better can it be, right?
Can't get any better.
It doesn't get any better than this.
The few podcasts I did before, I talked about the influx of companies that are coming to South Florida. We don't have the numbers in 22 yet, but in 2021, we had over 10,000 companies that came to the state of Florida from all around the country and overseas. And out of those 10,000 plus, there were 2,200 technology companies. And that's one point I briefly want to touch on. I see it. I hear it. I'm involved with some people who are doing it. And they're saying it big time. The third technology hub is in South Florida, is being built as we speak. It's a lot of people coming down, a lot of biotech companies coming down, a lot of banking industry in the technology coming down. They're all shifting this direction. This is obviously helping the market here, right?
Sure,
Absolutely.
it creates jobs.
Creates high-paying jobs. Because these guys, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right? Correct. And so what do we know? What do we hear about this? Do we hear anything that this is going to continue for a while? Is anybody talking about that you know of?
I'm not hearing on that. I don't know if Danny, you are. I'm not hearing too much about it. Not yet.
And Danny, what do you say?
No, I'm with Sara. I believe that has to do a lot with politics. That's how things eventually, deals become they materialize, and that's how, tax credits or some sort of benefits that come from whether it's the county or the state. And I don't see any changes coming in that aspect.
Market.
In that aspect for the market to take for that part of the market to take a shift.
So, but it's all good and healthy. All
As it
good and
stands,
healthy.
Yes.
as it stands, yes.
Good. Very nice. Very important. So there's a couple of questions I want to ask you guys. Consider the market. We talked about property values. We talked about how much of an impact does the higher rates have. We talked about that. Are we seeing the volume adjustments in percentage-wise? We talked about that. We see it, the records here. We talked about number 5. What do you expect to see in the near future regarding property values? I think that's an important question. People will ask, okay, should I wait? Should I buy? We touched briefly on this. Should I do it now? Should I do it later? And like you said, the story about the monk, right? Should I plant a tree now or tomorrow? Should I wait another 20 years, right? So, yeah. How many people from out of state do we have here now that we know of that are focused on buying right now? They came down because of the season. And do we know that?
Well, I don't know that we have you mean like a statistics?
No, not necessarily statistics. Do you hear them? Do you hear the agents talk about, oh, I have my out-of-state buyer here? Do we have things like that going on? Do we hear this often?
I hear quite a bit. We still have a lot of the snowbirds visiting, coming in. Still a strong influx from Latin America as well, coming in, buying second homes. Absolutely.
Yeah. South America, Brazil, Colombia, where else?
Yes.
Cuba. Do you have Cubans coming? Do you have Venezuelans coming?
They like to stay in Miami-Dade County.
Or they like to swim through the... No.
But
anyway.
So speaking to that, it's interesting because having been in Miami-Dade County for many, many years and now experiencing what Palm Beach County has, it's interesting that Palm Beach County has more of a seasonality to it. So,
Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
Right. That is true.
You see definitely an increase in the amount of people that are living, so to speak, for months at a time during the cold weather season, during winter, that come and stay and then leave. But while they're here, they might be renting, but eventually doing purchases, second homes, like Sara said, and so on and so forth. Miami's different. Miami, in that sense, either if it's a high, it's a constant high, and if it's a low, it's a constant low. And because it has an influence, like Sara said, from Latin America, you have influence from Europe, you have influence from Russia even. And so...
And it's a different demographic.
Absolutely.
Palm Beach County is a more mature audience. The snowbirds that are coming, again, are more 55 and over, and they want a little bit more relaxed atmosphere.
They don't want to be in such a big traffic jams and all that stuff. So this area
Miami
is still
might
good
be a little too busy.
Too much for them. Too much for them. One question I forgot to ask, and let's touch a little bit about this. Credits from sellers to buyers. Is this an increase right now? Do we see this more and more? Do you hear this more and more?
So I'm hearing a lot of buzz about it, a lot of talk, yet I'm still not seeing it come to fruition.
Yeah. The last few years, that was not so common. The old days, it was more of a thing when you had a lot of inventory and then whatever, this and that, the other. Now, this is kind of like because of the prices or because of the pressure of the rates or anything like that. Sellers, I hear it, I see it a little bit here and there, but I want to know from you because you always hear it all the time, from you deal with all the agents. So,
again, I'm not seeing it as much. I'm hearing a lot of discussion, a lot of buzz. What I am beginning to see a little bit is sellers offering bonuses to other agents.
Bonuses to other agents.
Correct.
Is
bringing forth
an
the
incentive.
buyer.
An incentive. Sure. Any rate buy-down options with that or not? Do you hear that?
Generally with the bonuses, no, not necessarily for the prospective buyer. That's more geared for the agent. But, the buy-down can also be as a credit. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the interest buy-down. It could just be a credit to the buyer, against the purchase of the home, against repairs, a variety of different things.
Very interesting. We are just about close to our time here. We can go over a little bit. It's not a problem. But let's summarize this a little bit. In your opinion, in general, what's the message here for the whole world, for our visitors, the snowbirds, the North Americans, the Central, the South Americans, and the people from Europe, people from Canada, and obviously that's obviously part of North America. But the point is that, what's the message here, Sarah? And then I go to you, Danny.
For me, the message would be is don't fear it. Don't fear making a purchase, moving to South Florida. You're not going to go wrong.
You're not going to go wrong.
You're not going to go wrong.
Wow.
It's a great investment.
Wow, there you have it. Danny?
I definitely agree with Sarah in that sense. And I would add to that if you speak with anybody regarding the real estate market or regarding the stock market, one of the things that you'll hear time and time again is don't try to time the market. You know, if you are in the mindset of making a purchase, a real estate purchase, go ahead. If your intent is to hold this
Correct.
Piece of real estate for the long haul. It's a different story when it becomes a business, a flipping business.
Yeah.
We're talking about a completely different business model altogether. When you buy a home for yourself, which is going to be whether your second home for vacation,
right,
whether you're going to be using it sporadically or that's where you're going to reside permanently, this is a good time.
Wow. I agree with you both. This is obviously, there's never the wrong times as long as you buy the right property.
Correct.
So yes, let's come down here. Let's do this. I'm here. We're here to help you, guide you through this process. It's not that difficult. If you are listening to us from overseas, somewhere around this world, let us know. And I will tell you this, there will be more information coming. We're going to talk about 1031 exchange very soon. We're going to talk about more real estate, and we're going to talk about 1031 exchange investments and flipping. What you just said, investors who want to buy, rebuild, and flip, and rehab and sell. You need to know the benefits of 1031 exchange. That is a must for you to attend any event that I've been putting up, and there will be enough advertisement going out there. But you need to subscribe to my channel. See me at my real estate podcast, Paulo Schneider, right on YouTube. It's easy to find right there. Paulo Schneider, there's only one. There's only one. I checked it. There's only one. Thank you both for coming. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Likewise.
Very much. And wait, we have some questions to answer here. Stephen Weintraub. Okay, nice to see everyone. Stephen Weintraub.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Stephen. Hey, everybody's saying hello to you, my friend. Thank you very much. That's good. Steve, yeah, that's following me. That's a guy, look at this. But thank you again. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Listen.
Thank you, Paola.
I can't thank you enough for you guys taking your time, because it's a crazy business for you to manage everybody. It's not that easy. But you made the time to come here. It's a privilege for me.
Thank you very much.
Gracias.
And to you all, we'll see you very soon. Stay tuned and subscribe.